I am a big fan of Martin Lawrence, but recently I've noticed that he plays a cop in a lot of his films. In Bad Boys, he portrayed a police officer. In Big Mama's House, he also played a cop in a dress, and in College Road Trip, he took on a role as a father who coincidentally happens to be a cop. In fact, I examined all 28 movies he appeared in, and 11 of them, he portrayed a police officer. And it's not just Martin Lawrence. Many black comedians and actors have portrayed police officers in several instances. Beverly Hills Cop, White Chicks, even my personal favorite, Rush Hour.
I'm Detective Carter.
I know what you guys are thinking. What's wrong with black people playing cops in movies? There's black cops in real life. Although that's true, what if I tell you that these cop movies have a hidden goal? That these movies that we cherish in the black community or just in general convey a hidden message that our subconscious minds intake, often without our conscious awareness.
Message!
That, my friend, is the whole point of this video. Copaganda, a blend of cop and propaganda, refers to deliberate efforts to influence public perceptions of law enforcement. It involves shaping narratives about police officers with the aim of countering criticism and promoting a positive image of them, often through media channels. And we see this in movies and TV shows all the time. The police officers are often portrayed as the most intelligent, composed, and level-headed person in the room. Not only that, but they constantly deliver the most memorable lines.
Well, do you, punk?
As entertainment media evolves, we're witnessing increased sophistication and complexity of propaganda. Superhero TV shows and movies, while captivating audiences, also fall under the umbrella of propaganda. Yeah, Captain America is basically a pig. However, we'll delve deeper into that topic later in the video. In many of the movies and TV shows, we witness police officers risking their lives even during intense shootouts, having nerves of steel. But in reality, that's quite the opposite. One of the earliest instances of propaganda in cinema can be traced back to the shitty 1950 film, The Birth of a Nation. The film centers around protagonist Ben Cameron, an ex-Confederate soldier who was captured by the Union. In the film, Ben finds America in turmoil after the Civil War, where he witnesses a violent uprising by black people. He then becomes the founder of the Ku Klux Klan. If you really think about it, Birth of a Nation has a premise of a lot of vigilante hero films. Birth of a Nation tells a story of the origins of the Ku Klux Klan after the events of the Civil War. The movie shows the Klan as the heroes of America, taking back the country from the recently freed vicious black people, which was white people in blackface. The origins of the Ku Klux Klan and the current police department does derive from the same place, the Slave Patrol. Origins of the modern day policing can be traced back to the 1600s, specifically to the institution known as the Night Watch. The Night Watch was a group of volunteers or individuals assigned as a form of punishment, tasked with patrolling the streets to prevent and discourage criminal activities. Most of the time, the Night Watch would be participating in these crimes, something that we see constantly in today's pigs. The practice of the Night Watch was later taken by the South to protect other property, slaves. This form, known as Slave Patrol, focused on capturing escaped slaves, preventing riots, and maintaining order on plantations. Unsurprisingly, the Slave Patrol not only played a pivotal role in development of modern policing, but also influenced formation of the Ku Klux Klan after the Civil War. In the late 1700s, a cracker named Patrick Colohan conducted an experiment involving the river police, whose primary task was to safeguard cargo that was frequently disappearing. Colohan's innovative approach involved paying the police, which showed improved outcomes and reduced the likelihood of bribery, which was a big problem with the Night Watch. His experiment significantly influenced the development of our present-day police departments. On 1829, a black slave abolitionist, David Walker, wrote an appeal to colored citizens of the world in which he basically says, "Kill them crackers for freedom." The appeal later got him killed and scared a lot of white people. This led to Boston creating a police force in 1838, followed by North Carolina and New York in 1844, and by the 1850s, 5 other states created police departments. The police in America carried guns compared to the police in the UK and solely focused on the protection of white people. Disturbingly, there are documented events of both citizens and police engagement staging of acts of violence against immigrants and free black people, including lynching. After the Civil War, law enforcement agencies shifted their focus towards segregating black and white communities. Simultaneously, they actively targeted the indigenous population. It wasn't until 1909 the police forces adopted a more aggressive approach. The tactics taught to police officers during this period was originally designed to harm indigenous people in the western regions. Regrettably, the historical practices continue to shape modern police force we observe today. As technology advanced, so did the world of media. Television shows and movies began to be produced daily, providing a powerful platform for storytelling. Almost anyone with sufficient funds and the right equipment could easily share the narratives with America, including law enforcement. The inaugural example of propaganda in media was the radio show Dragnet. The series revolved around Joe Friday, a cool, calm cop who always catches the bad guy.
That's a good story, cop. But you need a witness, and that you ain't got. Ain't we?
Dragnet was a popular police drama which was produced by Jack Webb and the LAPD. The show centered on improving police-community relations during the 1900s. At this period, police encountered criticism regarding their law enforcement practices. Local police forces were notorious for disproportionately incarcerating black and brown individuals. There was also a surge in fatalities caused by police actions. The Washington Police Department was so bad that the department was once labeled the Killer Cops. One of the first known police brutality rallies happened on September 14, 1941 in Washington. This protest was sparked after a black man, Leonard Basie, was shot by an officer in Washington because the victim gave too much lip. The Dragnet radio show, which later transitioned into a television series, gained popularity because it was among the first forms of media to present stories based on true events. The show claimed to be true to the actual cases they were presenting, with only altering the names of the victims and suspects. However, research indicates
this is bullshit.
In an episode of Dragnet titled Sullivan's Kidnapping, The Wolf, the plot centers around a kidnapping that tragically escalates into a homicide. A 21-year-old woman is abducted and the kidnapper demands a $300 ransom for her safe return. Subsequently, the kidnapper sends a letter to the Los Angeles Police Department indicating awareness of their involvement in the case. Tragically, the young woman is later found dead. Later, the police uncover that the culprit is the father's former business partner, driven by the desire for revenge. The show concludes dramatically as Joe Friday apprehends the criminal in the pouring rain. The episode draws inspiration from the real-life murder of 12-year-old Marion Parker. However, the show takes artistic liberties in its narrative, shifting the blame for the death of the girl on her father instead of the LAPD. During this investigation, the police considered paying their ransom as the best course of action. They managed to record the serial numbers of all the bills, allowing the potential tracing if the bills were used. The officers trailed the father without his knowledge to the location that was given. The kidnapper eventually fled upon noticing the police presence. The later autopsy revealed that Marion's time of death occurred hours before her body was discovered. This implies that she was alive during the initial attempt to meet up, but the presence of the officers may have caused Marion's demise. Why wasn't that included in the episode? Why promote the show as true if you're going to alter the narrative anyway? The goal for the show is for the public to be in favor of the police, no matter how dangerous themselves can be to the public. So of course, the LAPD being partially blamed for the death of a 12-year-old wouldn't make the cut. Cop TV shows and movies were created to give this false narrative that police officers were the sole barrier between law-abiding citizens and criminals. Additionally, most of the films and TV shows depicted officers bending or breaking the rules in pursuit of justice. Black propaganda refers to a form of propaganda that specifically targets the black community. Its purpose is to build trust between law enforcement and community members by establishing a real relationship between the two parties. They achieve this through various means, such as featuring a black police officer as the protagonist or by depicting our black main character partnering up with law enforcement. In 1967, the media introduced a black police officer for the first time in a film called In the Heat of the Night, starring Sidney Poitier.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
However, it's evident that this shit was propaganda. The movie was adapted from a book by the same title by John Ball in 1965 during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. The film centers around the character Virgil Tibbs, a detective from out of town who becomes a prime suspect of a murder case. After proving his innocence, the local police department eventually seeks his help to solve the crime. Despite facing racism and numerous obstacles from the townspeople, our determined protagonist managed to work with them and crack the case. The movie teaches that although our protagonist is wrongfully accused, his calm demeanor to every response and action helped him through his mistreatment. Notably, there's a pivotal scene where a man derogatorily refers to Tibbs as a boy.
Boy is a white racist word.
And physically strikes him. In the original book and script, Tibbs refrains from retaliation. However, Sidney Poitier, the actor, insisted that his character should respond by returning the slap. This particular moment stands out as the only instance where our character reacts to the abuse he endures. It's not surprising when you consider that the movie is adapted from a book authored by an LAPD officer. The point of this movie was for black people to sympathize with police officers, and that times has changed. Quite frankly, Poitier was just a chess piece for this message. I mean, the movie won over 20 awards, and Sidney Poitier didn't win anything, and he was the star. The Heat of the Night was released 2 years after the Watts riot, where police officers beat up a black man, Margaret Fry, during a traffic stop, and reportedly struck a pregnant black woman. This incident caused 6 days of rioting in Los Angeles. After the riot and the success of The Heat of the Night, numerous cop TV shows that featured black cop began to show, from The Partners to Get Christie Love. One of the first memorable black propaganda is the Emmy Award-winning The Mod Squad, which first aired in 1968. The show focuses on 3 young, small-time criminals who become cops instead of doing prison time. Critics describe the show as one black, one white, one woman, with the late Clarence Williams III starring as undercover cop Lincoln Hayes. Lincoln Hayes is a rebellious black man who's fed up with the cops and gets arrested for being part of the Watts riots. He joins the force where we watch him balance being black and a cop.
A year ago, I wouldn't give 2 pop bottles for a cop. Now look at it.
Ultimately being accepted by his new cop family. The 1960s were known for their anti-government movements, the disapproval of Vietnam, the Black Panther Party, gay rights. Creating a TV show such as The Mod Squad helped audience see the resemblance with them and police officers. The show purposely mixed the counterculture movement with policing. The use of black cops in media or even in real life is for only one purpose: to give a false sense of security. Cops use black people to infiltrate the Black Panther Party. A black cop killed Fred Hampton. We even have black cops killing other black men. Even during the 70s, with the rise of the Black Power movement, movies and television portrayed black characters being crime fighters in the black community. These characters usually fit the angry or goofy trope, but with a badge. Police brutality has been a problem since the beginning of policing. In 2023, 1,352 people lost their lives in police brutality, making that year the deadliest year for citizens interacting with police officers, which was previously held the year prior. In fact, it's only been recently that we are able to monitor the actions of police. It wasn't until 2014 police were issued body cams after the death of Michael Brown. Since the creation of cops, the reputation of the police department have been tainted with numerous participation of events like lynching and abuse of power. Throughout history, law enforcement have neglected the black community, inciting the Tulsa Massacre, not arresting the murderers of Emmett Till, and assassination of many of the black leaders. The older depiction of police in media presented them as silly and incompetent to do their jobs. Famous comedian Charlie Chaplin often makes fun of the police, kicking them in the butt and literally giving them the runaround. We see this in one of the first buddy cop TV shows, Car 54, Where Are You? The show centers on 2 cops, Gunther and Francis, who never do police work and is always getting on the chief's nerves. But with a lot of luck, they always seem to catch the bad guy. The Andy Griffith Show, on the other hand, portrayed cops as more of a problem solver, able to handle disputes in his hometown with ease. Ironically, his personal life is where he seems to have the problem. This places police officers in a light of being more skillful in their practice, giving the idea that cops are better at handling their jobs than everyday struggles of a human being, which could make for a great comedy. Comedy is often used to deter people away from the truth, putting a more pleasant tone on actual problems. In 1979, North Miami Police Department stopped and killed a black man named Arthur McDuffie after a traffic stop. He was spotted speaking with the police officers and then beaten to death. The officers were acquitted from all charges by an all-white male jury, even after autopsy showed that McDuffie was killed by the officers. Soon after, Miami went to flames. And after that riot, there was a rise of cop comedy movies being produced. The first buddy cop film in America was released in 1982, starring the funny Eddie Murphy and this guy, Nick Nolte.
We ain't partners, we ain't brothers, and we ain't friends. I'm putting you down and keeping you down until Gans is locked up or dead. And if Gans gets away, you're gonna be sorry you ever met me. I'm already sorry.
48 Hours focuses on an alcoholic cop determined to bring down the man who killed his partners, but can't do it without the talkative black con man, granting him 48 hours of freedom to help him catch the crooks. The idea that 2 people from the opposite sides of the law are able to come together and solve a crime is hilarious. Unfortunately, that's not the case in real life. Statistics shows that black people who make less than $50,000 a year are more likely to face police brutality compared to anyone else. This is scary when we understand that the average black household earns less than $50,000 a year. In fact, majority of the movie we see Eddie Murphy's character constantly being beaten up by the officer and berated.
Let me explain one thing to you, nigger. I weigh 30.
But the movie uses this as a form of comedy and a sign of friendship. 48 Hours was the blueprint for cop comedy films, transforming propaganda not just in the black community, but in America. Instead of portraying police officers as incompetent in their jobs and placing them in silly situations, they now put them in action-packed situations with their personality being the butt of the joke, humanizing the police officers and placing them as the funny, likable hero.
Tell them where the buy's going down.
Where's it going down at? Bullshit!
Oh shit.
One of the biggest comedy tools that cop comedy overly use is slapstick. Slapstick uses physical comedy that involves exaggeration of movement and often violent actions. Frequently in cop shows and movies, we witness law enforcement officers handling suspects roughly. We know that art imitates reality. We always observe officers physically assaulting or verbally confronting suspects. This portrayal aims to convey that police officers are merely performing their duties and occasionally force becomes necessary to achieve their objective.
Get out of the damn car!
Didn't your mama teach you any manners? At least you could ask me nicely.
Comedy often intertwines pain with laughter, the idea that causing harm to a criminal is acceptable and even humorous. It wasn't until the 1990s we began to witness more authentic portrayal of police officers in movies. Films like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and Set It Off were written by members of the black community, and it provided us with a glimpse into the over-policed neighborhoods and the presence of the trigger-happy cops. Although most of the films show life of an individual who may indulge in criminal activities, many of the characters are harassed by the police even if nothing illegal is being done.
You think you tough? Think you tough, huh?
The rise of hood films began after the beating of Rodney King in 1991, which sparked another riot. These hood films were able to help people get a glimpse of hardship of the individual not only surviving their environment, but also the police, revealing true difficulties. The relationship between black individuals and police officers has never been pleasant and shows no sign of improvement. Tragically, every day more black people lose their lives at the hands of those who are paid to protect them. Researchers indicate that black individuals are 2.9 times more likely to be killed by a police officer. Alarmingly, many of these incidents occur during non-violent interactions. But what we see in our screens does not show that. In fact, the fall of 2019, more than 60% of primetime dramas on the 4 main broadcast networks were shows about crime, the police, and the legal system. In both movies and TV, there's a persistent effort to downplay the horror real police officers convey, whether it's the cameras following actual officers or satirical shows that mock their work. The true complexities of a police officer is rarely portrayed.
I'm gonna tell you what, someone here is in danger right now.
Who?
Me. Cause you just sitting there looking all fine.
In entertainment media, we frequently encounter the idea of our close family members as police officers. These depictions often aim to evoke sympathy by emphasizing their human qualities, often forgetting the harm they caused.
I want to do something that makes a difference. I want to work with people I respect and admire. I want a job that's different and exciting every day.
And what kind of fairy tale job is that?
Huh? It's your job, Dad. I want to be a cop.
Another method that propaganda uses to give us misleading sense of comfort with law enforcement is by featuring superheroes. Superheroes can be seen as super cops, often having the same morals as the fictional cops in movies and television. Only difference is they have fucking leotards on. The notion that superheroes only serves as an extension of the police, assisting law enforcement in managing the high crime rates faced by the city, perpetuates that misleading idea that police are the sole barrier between law-abiding citizens and criminals. Spider-Man serves as an excellent example. He frequently monitors police radio, swiftly responding to criminal activities. He occasionally refers to himself as Spider Cop. We even see heroes like Superman and Captain America fighting Nazis, being the most patriot thing next to being a cop and a soldier. In recent blockbuster superhero movies, we observed a full embrace of propaganda. Spider-Man No Way Home conveys the notion that crime fighters possess the ability to recognize the goodness within individuals and understand the significance of every life. This theme aligns with Spider-Man's actions when he decides to undo the deaths caused by every Peter Parker. Concept of restorative justice takes a different perspective. It's not solely about rehabilitating the villains, rather it emphasizes building trust in those responsible for public safety. After all, without Spider-Man's intervention, these criminals would have met a fatal end. Although cop shows are constantly evolving, transforming their horrible work tactics into witty remarks,
fantastic. Captain, hey! Welcome to the murder.
We still see the true nature of police officers, even if they turn Captain America black. The police have always been a terror to the citizens since their conception. The harm and pain they've caused to the black community has left a sour taste in our mouths that will never be removed. The point of this video is not to say that black people can't portray cops in films and TV shows, but most of these portrayals is created by police departments or white writers. Police actually put fear in our hearts as black people. And if I'm wrong, why did the ending of Get Out scare a lot of us? Hey, if you like videos like this, go ahead and hit the follow button. And if you want to join the herd, click the link in the bio.